All right. Hi, as Mike said, I'm Steve Campbell. So I'm a Power BI consultant here in Milwaukee, originally from the UK. So I've been working about Power BI for 5 years and now work at a local consultancy in Brookfield. So today we're really going to go over, as Mike was saying, just kind of how to extend Power BI outside of just Power BI. One thing that I've seen as we implement Power BI into an organization, especially initially when you kind of first introduce Power BI, when you're really trying to adopt Power BI into an organization, people are kind of hesitant to give up what they know, right? Excel is typically what people know. One of the first things always people ask, and I'm sure if you've ever tried to put a Power BI model in, something like, how do you print, right? Or, how do I save this to PDF? So I think it's kind of important to look at Power BI, and as Power BI should use it at its strengths. We don't want to make Power BI into a data extraction tool. Not its purpose, not its job. Power BI, is a dashboard. We're going to derive insights from Power BI. That's what we're going to use it for. What we can still do, though, is we can still connect Excel directly to Power BI, to our models in Power BI. We have paginated report builder that can go off the models as well. And these can all connect to the same model. Now, this session obviously is labeled Analyze Your Data in Excel. A large part of it is we're going to show kind of how to set that up. And there'll be tips on kind of best practices on how to arrange your models to keep that one source of the truth as well. What we don't want is all of our different analysts sort of creating their own measures, having 100 different types of measures for the same thing. So if you calculate year-over-year sales one way, it should just be one way, and that should be throughout the organization. At the same time, we still want users to be able to analyze the data themselves. So obviously follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter here, and keep up to date on my PowerBI.Tips. So typically, when you let analysts kind of run wild with Power BI, you don't have a strong method on how to adopt it and to release it. This is kind of what happens here. What we have is we have our data sources, and people make their own reports. Now they'll publish these reports to the service, and each person will have their measures here. So when I have this little folder, I mean, this is measures specific to that report. Now, this can work in very small organizations when you only have, one analyst. But as soon as you want to adopt Power BI throughout your organization, what we really want to do is have a more centralized method of keeping models the same throughout different reports. So this is in the fairly new kind of release of shared data sets. This is what we can do now. We can set up a centralized model where our data sources will link to one model. In that model, we can create global measures. Now, global measures could be company-specific measures that are the same throughout. So as I said, if we want to calculate sales or last year's sales a specific way, if we have specific business logic, we want to keep that the same so that everyone can connect to it. We also want to open this up and let people build their own reports on top of our model. So that's where shared data sets get in. So I'm going to run through on how to use this. Now, we're going to focus kind of on, I would say, a pro license approach. There's different techniques you can use. If you have premium workspaces, you might have some slightly different techniques. This is more focusing at assuming we're a kind of a pro organization here, something that everyone can do, with at least a pro license. So I've gone ahead and I'm an analyst here. What I've done is I've created my report. We have some fictional data here. This is a fictional company. We have our report, and I also have some industry and stock data. If you are interested in this financial data, check out PowerBI.Tips. Kind of self-plug here. There's how to get this. This is live Microsoft stock data and cash flow data. So check out the website if you're interested in that. So I could publish this, and when I publish this to the service, we're going to publish the model behind with it. Now this is great, but if someone else wants to use this model, we want to publish this separately. We want to separate the model from the file. So the first thing I would do is I would create the model by itself. Now in this file, I've created a model here. So if we hit our transform data, we can see my queries. These are the queries I pulled off PowerBI.Tips in the stock data blog to pull our stock data. We have other made up data that I've just entered in, and some sales data. So I've modeled this, and I've created a report model. As you can see, a nice star schema here, or 2 star schemas. Now you notice I've said I've created this blank. I put it as a kind of pink purpley background and said this report contains a model only. I want people to know that they shouldn't be building onto this report. Be very careful. This is a report only. This is a model only. So we're not going to build visuals of this model. We're going to use this to allow to other people to connect. And the reason we do this is that now they can connect to this model with other Power BI reports, use the same sources of the truth. But on top of that, they can add on to, if they are premium, they can have paginated reports of this. They can use Excel reports. And we're going to connect to the same model, so everyone's using the exact same data.